Hey everyone, it's Kyra and welcome back to my channel. So I am very excited for today's video because I am finally reviewing the new Fenty concealers and setting powder. You guys have been hounding me on Instagram. Literally, I have gotten a million DMs about reviewing these products. And to be honest, I wasn't really planning on it just because I feel like this is the year. I feel like I kind of started it last year, but this year I'm really trying to not be excessive and just collect stuff. And as much as I love Rihanna and I want to support her, I really didn't need more concealer or more setting powder. But, you know, I gotta do what I gotta do for y'all. So I went ahead last night to Sephora and picked up some goodies, and I'll be reviewing her new products today. If you guys don't know, Fenty Beauty just recently released new concealers and also new setting powders, and they also released new shades in their foundation range, which I really am happy about because I finally have my perfect foundation shade. So in the foundations I currently have to mix two shades. I have to mix the shade 370, which is a little too light. Okay, so here is 370. So obviously it's a little bit too light, especially for my face. It just does not look cohesive. And then I have the shade 390, and 390 is just a little bit too dark and a little bit too orange. Okay, so see the difference? So here's 370 and here's 390. Well, now they have a shade 385, which is again right in between my 370 and my 390. And I got a sample from Sephora yesterday just to make sure there was the right shade. But here's 385. So 385 is this one right here. So you have 370, 390, and 385. And I'm pretty positive this is finally like my correct. See, look at it. Yeah, that was really good. So I am very happy about that I finally have my correct shade. In the concealer, I did get the shade 350. Now, I got the shade 350 because, of course, you guys know that I typically apply the concealer in the areas that I want to highlight. So I definitely want that area to be a bit brighter, hence lighter concealer. But my shade 350 is, I didn't want anything that's too light. And I wanted it to complement the foundation. So here is my concealer shade. It looks really good. It looks very, very similar to the shade Biscuit from NARS. And then I also picked up the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Setting Powder. I got the shade Cashew. Now, I actually have wanted to get the shade Honey, which Honey is a little bit more yellow, but they did not have Honey in stock at my local Sephora. So I just got the next best thing, which was the shade Cashew. And Cashew to me seems to be, I don't know, we'll see. I think it may work. It looks like it'll be a really good under eye setting powder. So we will see how everything works out. But I was going to say that one of my beautiful followers did suggest that I actually do a full face of Fenty. And I actually really like that idea because I felt like it would be, you know, a different spin on the concealer reviews, because I feel like now there are like a million reviews of the concealer. You know, doing a full face using Fenty products would be a really nice change up. And could also show you guys thoughts on products that I haven't actually used, either used in a while or used at all. Like the concealer and this new liquid lipstick. I got the Unveil liquid lipstick. And I also picked up the Moroccan Spice palette as well, you know, to use on my eyes. So we'll kind of just do our thing, see how everything goes. But I am very excited about trying out all of these Fenty Beauty goodies. So let's just go ahead and hop right in. Alright guys, so first up is going to be the eyes. I'm going to just do it in my normal order. So eyes first and then skin. And as I mentioned previously, I actually have not used the Fenty Beauty Moroccan Spice palette, but I am very excited to try it out and see what I think about it, you know, in this whole Fenty product review. So first up, I'm going to take this soft brown shade over here and just apply that into my crease because that's like the perfect crease color for my skin tone. Blending this into the crease. I will say that these so far are looking pretty good. So that is the first shade. Okay, so one thing I'm noticing, just so you guys are aware, is that this palette is a little bit on the powdery side, as in I'm getting a lot of fallout in the actual palette. Not so much my actual face, but the palette is already getting a bit messy. And this is brand new. Just keep that in mind. And it was what, $59? So I think it's too expensive to do all that. I'm gonna do this shade right here, this plum shade, with that same brush. See guys, look at this. And I just dipped in this one. I just feel like it's kind of getting everywhere, and I don't like that. You guys know I hate messy palettes. So I'm actually going to mix in some of this shade here, this reddish shade, and just mix that and the plum shade down here, which is the shade Spice Trip. I'm going to take a clean blending brush and just blend that out. So far they look good. I'm not wowed. Like, so far, just using these first 2 or 3 shades, I don't feel like I've missed out on anything, if that makes sense. Next up, I'm going to go in with this brown shade here. You guys see all this fallout here? That's what I was saying, that I think that this palette, in my opinion, is way too expensive to do that. But taking that brown and just packing this into the inner and outer corner. Okay, so I just took this bronze shade here on my finger and then just applied this all over my lid. Okay, and then taking a hint of these 2 foiled shadows here, I'm gonna just tap this right in the center. And then I think to complete it, I'm gonna take a little bit of this smoked gray here and just pop that in the inner and outer corner. And I think that's it for the eyes for now. I don't know. I don't really know like what I want to do, so kind of just winging it by ear, but I think I'll leave it alone like that for now. I'm going to go ahead and wipe away this excess fallout. And just initial thoughts on the palette. I think it's cool, but I'm not like blown away, to be honest. So I don't think this is a necessity, if I'm just being completely honest. I'm going to go ahead now and take the Finchy Beauty Primer. I'm going to apply this all over. And I actually have been using this primer even before this tutorial. I've actually been using it like on more of an everyday basis, just because I feel like this primer for this time of year, because my skin has been, some days it's cool, some days it's a little bit dry, and I feel like this primer does a good job of keeping my skin, you know, matte for the most part. The only thing about the primer is that it's just not the best mattifying primer. So like, it'll keep you pretty matte for a minute, but after a couple hours, you look like a grease ball. Okay, so primer's on. I'm going to go on my little sample from Sephora of the 385 and just apply this all over and then just blend this in. Okay, so foundation is on, and honestly, foundation is one of the things that I have always loved from this brand. I have always loved their foundation. I love the coverage. I love the shade range. I love how it dries down. I do think it dries down a little bit too quickly, which you can easily learn how to work with. But it does dry down pretty matte pretty quickly. But I just feel like just how it feels on the skin is pretty lightweight. And it just feels really, really good. And it does look good all day. Also, as far as color goes, this is definitely my match. So now on to the new stuff. Okay, so as I mentioned, I did go ahead and get the shade 350 in the concealer. I just thought that 350 was light enough to brighten without looking too bright, if that makes sense. So first of all, it looks like this. I love, love, love the wand applicator. Ooh, oh my gosh. Okay, so just again, initial thought. The consistency of this feels so amazing. This is probably one of the creamiest concealers I've ever used, because even just doing this feels so good. It's really, really creamy, but like in the best way possible. Because just applying this and smoothing it over the skin, it feels really, really good, which I really like. And just applying it, I really do like the shade so far. I feel like this is a good hiding shade. I feel like it's gonna blend out really, really easily. So I'm just taking a beauty sponge and just blending this out. Okay, so far coverage wise, I love the coverage. You guys know I love a good full coverage concealer. And this one so far is giving me full coverage. Y'all, look at this. Okay, concealer, so far, I am loving it. I also love that it's not drying down because like with the foundation, for example, the foundation dries down really quick, so you have to move fast with it. This does not, which I like. So you can take your time and really blend out those areas without having to worry about it, you know, drying up. And again, the consistency of this feels really good. Yo, that's definitely full coverage. Y'all know that I have darker spots here under my eyes, like literally right there and right there. I do have dark spots under my eyes, so the fact that that covered that completely, that has me sold right there. Again, first impressions, the concealer is a 10 out of 10. I love the concealer. So I think that that is definitely a hit. So the concealer is a yes. Okay, so we have that on. I'm going to now go in with the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Instant Retouch Setting Powder in the shade Cashew. So this can get really messy really fast, so just be careful with the powder. I'm going to look up, blend out those creases, and then set. And also, I was a bit concerned about Cashew because if you guys can tell, or I don't know if you guys can tell on camera, but Cashew is a little bit more on the peachy side as opposed to on the yellow side. So I didn't know how that would work. But then again, banana was a little bit too light and ashy for me. So we'll kind of just see what happened here. But so far as just the consistency of the powder goes, it's super finely milled, which is amazing. Okay. So again, I love the consistency of it. It's really, really finely milled. I feel like it's really setting into the skin really, really nicely. Like it looks like skin and it's not getting really cakey or really powdery, which I do like. I also am not too mad at this shade. Like I thought Cashew was going to be a bit problematic, but I feel like it looks kind of good. I actually like it. And I feel like it really is brightening up under the eyes. Okay, so in my opinion, if I were to be using this on a day-to-day basis, I would absolutely transfer this powder into a smaller, travel-friendly, more user-friendly container. But just looking at this jar, you get a lot of product. This one here, this jar, looking at it right now, is literally full all the way to the top. So this whole thing is actually full with powder, which is a really good thing because you get a lot for your money, which I do like. Like this little jar here would probably last me like over a year. Okay, so next up I'm going to be using my Fenty matchstick in the shade Truffle. And it's used as a contour. I haven't used this in a while, so this is a nice change up. I always loved how travel friendly and beginner friendly this matchstick is. It makes using it so easy. Just blending this out. You don't want any harsh lines. Gonna dust away that excess powder. Okay, so I have the concealer on, which I really, really did like. The only thing that I wasn't sold on was just the palette. Like it's nice, but there's tons of cheaper, nice palettes if we're gonna be real, okay? Okay, so to finish off the eyes, I definitely wanna pull in these blue tones here. I feel like I need some color on or in this look. So I want to first go in with this Urban Decay Glide On Eye Pencil in the shade Overdrive. It's a really pretty dark green. Going back in with that same pencil brush you used earlier to apply the color in the inner and outer corners. So taking this bluish shade here, that's really pretty, and just smudging this liner out with that shade. And then for my inner corner highlight, I'm going to take this golden shade here from that same palette. It's a really pretty foiled golden. And I'm also just kind of dragging that liner, the lower lash line, into the top lash line. And then before I move on to my lips, I'm going to take some of this MAC Chestnut Liner and line my lips, which of course I know this isn't Fenty, but you guys, they don't have lip liners, so kind of line a lip. Okay, and then taking the Fenty Beauty Stunna Lip Paint in the shade Unveil. I have been dying to try this one because I know how pretty it is. Oh my gosh, this color, you guys, is everything. And then just to kind of tie in the lip into the eye look, I want to take a little bit of a lighter liquid lipstick. This isn't Fenty, but I just want to do a little bit of lighter lipstick in the center to create a bit of an ombre. And there are the lips, which okay, so the Unveil lip paint, I love that shade of brown. I don't know, and it just feels really comfortable on the lips as well. So that is also a hit for me. Before I go ahead and wrap up this look, the last thing I want to do with the Fenty Beauty products is to take the Fenty Matchstick in the shade Rum. I want to take a little bit on the back of my hand, kind of warm it up a little bit, and then take my hotter brush and apply it that way. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Okay, and then also take that and apply it to your forehead, your nose, and your chin. That looks really, really pretty. I love that. It's a really nice subtle glow, but it doesn't look like the highlighter is sitting on top of your skin, if that makes sense. It just looks so nice and natural, and I love, love, love that. So I'm gonna go ahead real quick off camera and pop on some falsies, and then do my hair and everything, come back to you guys with the final look and my final thoughts about the products itself. Alright guys, so I went ahead and popped on some falsies, did my hair, put on some earrings, and also added some mascara, and here is the final look. Now, to get into the part that I'm sure you guys are the most interested in, and that is, what do I believe is worth it? So first, starting off, as I mentioned, the foundation and primer. I mean, if you guys don't have it already, I would recommend trying that out. In my opinion, the foundation is a really great quality foundation that's lightweight, that provides great coverage, and it wears really, really well. Now, I'm sure you guys can guess that, in my opinion, the palette itself is not worth it. Now, that isn't a new product. It's actually been out for a while. It's been out since last year. I'm just trying it out for the first time, which is kind of why I'm giving a late review of it. But in my opinion, the palette is not worth this $59-60. In my opinion, I just feel like there are so many other palettes, that many of which are much, much cheaper than that are just as good, if not better. I just wasn't wowed for $59. You know, like, I wasn't blown away. And also, I'll repeat that I just believe that for $60, the shadow should not be that powdery and that messy. That literally grinds my gears. So that's a no-go for me. I love capital Love, the concealer. I feel like the concealer is definitely one of the best concealers I have ever used. And it's just because of the unique consistency of it. Like, as I mentioned, it's so creamy and so smooth. Just applying it feels like you're just painting on just the most luxurious creamy concealer onto your skin, and it feels so amazing. And then just blending it out is a dream. It like literally takes little to no effort. It definitely does have full coverage, which you guys know I love a good full coverage concealer. And I just love the shade of it. I just feel like for me, 350 is definitely my color and my shade for concealer. And it just looked really, really good. The setting powder. Okay, so as far as the actual powder goes and the consistency of it, I love it. I love how finely milled it is. I love how it sets and sits on the skin, because it doesn't look powdery at all. It literally looks like skin. Kind of just really blurs out that under eye area, which I find is not, you can't find that everywhere. I think that they were spot on. And it honestly, again, just like with the foundation, it really makes your under eye area look flawless and looks like it has a filter on it. So the powder consistency I love. Now, as far as the shade Cashew goes, I don't think it looks bad. I mentioned as I was applying it, to me the shade is not, I wasn't too mad at it. Like, the shade is not too far off. The only thing is that I believe that the shade Cashew took away from the brightness of the concealer. Does that make sense? So I feel like I applied a brighter concealer to really make my under eye area pop and look nice and bright and awake. And I feel like whenever I apply the shade Cashew on, I feel like it kind of dulled it down a bit. But is that just me? Like, I feel like it kind of took away from the brightness of the concealer, and that I don't quite like too much. Like, I wish that it had kind of kept the brightness. So I definitely want to go and hunt down the shade Honey at another Sephora in the area and see if that helps to fix it. If not, I'll go up to the shade Banana, which in my opinion, whenever I swatched it, it looked a little too light for me. But now that I applied Cashew, I feel like Banana may be where it's at. Like, I kind of have to play with it and see what happens. But again, the actual powder itself, I loved. Okay, so before I go, I definitely did want to test the concealer real quick and give a flashback test. So this powder claims to be a superfine weightless loose setting powder, which I can definitely attest to. It's definitely very superfine, and it is very weightless and looks very, very natural. Now, it also mentions that it's a setting powder for everyone that wouldn't flash back. So I wanted to test this real quick just to see if it's true or not, and do a quick selfie. And we have no flashbacks, so that is great. So if any of you guys are worried about finding a good setting powder that does not give you flashback, then the Fenty Pro Filter Setting Powder does that. The Rum Matchstick, I love. This is like the most natural, most gorgeous, glowy highlighter that I have used before. I just feel like it just looks, again, it looks like skin. And then last but not least, the lipstick, bomb. And again, we have to remember that at the end of the day, makeup is just makeup. And makeup does not work for everyone. So if you see someone that you admire that is using a certain shade or using a certain product and they love it, and then you try it out and it's not the same result, that it's just chemistry. Sometimes products don't work for everyone, and so we have to remember that at the end of the day. But in my opinion, as far as, you know, what I use and how it looks right now, I honestly really do like. I know it was a bit lengthy, but hopefully you guys kind of got the gist of, you know, my thoughts on everything. And hope you guys enjoyed this makeup look. So I'll go ahead and stop rambling and wrap up this full face of Fenty tutorial and first impressions, and I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye guys.